everybody. Welcome to Nikkivante's Chew and Chat. I'm trying to play around with names so when I open up my segments, I have something interesting and quirky to invite you guys in. Well, today I'm going to tell you a little bit about prayer part 2. I did prayer part 1 with my photographer Andrea Dansby, so I'm going to go into more about prayer and relationship today. Prayer part 2 is going to be about an experience I had last night. As a Christian, I don't think we are very honest about the Christian walk and experiences that we do go through as Christians. So last night I went to an erotic poetry reading. Some people say, well, do Christians go to erotic poetry? Should we be there? Shouldn't we be there? I don't know, but I know that before I got saved, I wouldn't have questioned it. I'd have been there. So I went. But before I left, I prayed. I said, God, just keep me. You know the path you have for me. You know where I'm going. And I want you to keep me. I think part of me as a Christian wanted to test God. I wanted to say, well, God, if you're so omnipotent and omnipresent and this all-knowing God, then you'll keep me. It's nothing wrong. I figured, we're all in the classroom. We give tests. So I wanted to test God, and I also wanted to test myself. We all say that I wanted to see if I had gone to the next level. I wanted to see if I was having a relationship with God, if I was in love with God, or was I still having an affair with God? Because we all know that when we fall in love with a man or a woman, we say, oh, I love them. And we never once, when we're really in love with somebody, we never once think about cheating. So as Christians, we know that God says there's no sex before marriage. That is His rule. That is His guideline. And because I love God, I'm working diligently to keep up with it, working overtime to keep that up. And then on top of that, God put me on a dating fast. So I'm definitely working overtime for God. Because anybody who knows me knows, there's not a time I don't have a date. And I'm sorry how that sounds. I don't care what people think. I'm just being honest. If you know me, you know that I'm on a date. Or I've met somebody, or I'm talking to somebody. Right now, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm dating myself. Why? Because God asked me to go on a year Esther cleanse, and I'm being obedient. Because my thing is, I want marriage. That's my thing. I'm tired of dating and not getting the right man. So I always tell people insanity is doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. So God put me on a fast. And then His promise to me was after this fast, I was going to get my Boaz. So I want my Boaz. I'm tired of meeting his twin brothers, every other loser. So I'm going to do it God's way. So to me, this was a test to both of us to see where we stand in this relationship thing that we have. So I went to the erotic poetry, and I've learned a lot of lessons there, but I'm going to try and stick to the lesson that I told you about. So I went, and it was a meetup, so I went with strangers. So we had a great time. The erotic poetry was great. The people were awesome. There were a lot of beautiful, beautiful men. I have to give a shout out to that. And there was an after party. Excuse me. So this is when the real test came, was at the after party. I came. I looked very nice. I was very presentable. I didn't have skin showing. And not that, ladies, whatever you decide to wear, that's between you and the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm not here to judge anything that people wear. But I looked very modest. Actually, I'm wearing the same thing that I wore out. Now, I want everybody to take a look at my earrings. I made these. God told me to make them. It says single by choice. They're funky. They're stylish. I love them. But I wore them for a reason, because I wanted people to know from the bat, I am single by choice. I'm not looking for anything. I advertise what I need to tell people, because people don't always understand English, so they need to know when they see it. So I'm downstairs at the after party, and I knew the test was coming. I just didn't know when it was coming. This man walked up to me. Ladies, I know we've all experienced this. This man wasn't overly fine, but he was nice looking. And I was standing all by myself pretty much the whole night, not dancing with anybody. That's my MO. I don't need to dance. I really don't know how to dance, but I don't really need to dance. So he comes up to me and he said the beautiful line, Are you ignoring men, or are men ignoring you? Half of me wanted to lie, but the other half said, well, nobody approached me. So I said, well, I think it's a little bit of both. So he starts to dance with me, girls, and he's one of those guys from the islands. And if anybody's danced with a man from an island, they know. You know that these men know how to move their bodies, and it makes you dream about what they're promising you with their body. So I'm dancing and I'm dancing and I'm dancing and I'm dancing. He's saying the right words, you know. And he says something to me, and I laughed because I knew it was a test. He said, are you going to Brooklyn, or am I coming to Jersey? Basically, he's asking me, what are we doing after this? So I had to very nicely tell him, as I'm really enjoying his company, I'm not going to lie to you, that we're doing neither one. I told him that yes, I'm not dating, and yes, I'm celibate. So of course he tried to hit me with the okie doke. You know, oh well, maybe it's time for your celibacy to end. I love people who prophesy on the low just to get what they want. Yeah, now it's time for my celibacy to end. Really? Because my God said it's not time for my celibacy to end until I'm married. So I don't know who he's talking to. Then he says, well, you know, maybe you're missing a good thing. So I had to hit him with the when Mr. Right at the wrong time is Mr. Wrong. Hands down. I'm not breaking my fast. I'm not breaking my celibacy. God bless you. And I mean, it took a lot in me because I enjoyed this man's company. I did. But it showed me that I'm in love with Jesus. I'm in love with God. You know what I mean? This man tried everything. His dancing skills were on point. It made me think about all the things that he could possibly do to me in the after party. And I chose God. Sometimes as Christians, not sometimes, excuse me, as Christians, we need to always choose Team Jesus. And I believe that with the prayer I prayed, as well as the relationship I'm building, I'm no longer in the affair stage of God. I am in the relationship stage with God. And when I love God and when I love others, I tell people I'm a hard lover. So therefore, I do the same thing for God. I made sure that the only person going home with Nikkivante was Nikkivante. The only number I gave out was the 000 digits because nobody needed to know how to get in contact with me. And I say all this to say is, as I grow, I want you to grow as well. I want you to know this walk is not easy. And I want you to know no matter how many scriptures you throw out there and how many times that you believe that it's okay, this walk is not going to get any easier. It's hard, but God will walk with you. If you ask him, he will give it to you. If you say, Lord, I need you right in this moment, cover me, he will cover you. And he will do as you need him to do. But at the same point, you have a responsibility to God. If you love God and you pray to God and you're having a relationship with God, then you owe him to do what God has asked you to do. And God says no sex before marriage. So that means that you have to work overtime to keep you to you. And to do that, prayer, consistent prayer, works. Building a relationship with God works. You know, I remember in Jay-Z's song, I think it was Jay-Z, he said, Jesus can't save us. He's a lie. Jesus can save us. He will protect us. He will guide us. He will tell you like your best friend's supposed to tell you. When she won't tell you, God will tell you. When you need somebody to tell you what's right and wrong, ask him. Ask him, and he will keep you. So I say all this to say that the reason why I tied it into prayer was because before I left my house, I prayed to God to keep me. Because I wanted to keep this testimony. I wanted him to know that I'm walking this thing out for him. And he showed me his end of the bargain. And I showed him my end of the bargain. And together I know that we are in relationship. There's no more affair stage for me. And I'm just telling you how I moved from affair to relationship. And it all stemmed from prayer and self-discipline. With two of those, you will walk this thing out. And I implore you to try it. New Christians, old Christians, Christians in the middle. This is no excuse time. We are in the battle for Jesus, for God, for souls. People are watching us. We're the only Bible some people will ever see. So if you're on this battlefield, you need to get your weapons together. You need to start living your life right. You know what I mean? We tip out sometimes at night. We do things we're not supposed to do. And yes, we can repent. But how many times do we need to fall? That's just my thought. So I'm just going to say, Nikkivante, over and out. Be blessed. Walk in the Lord. Build your relationship with the Lord. And and live life to the fullest. Enjoy. God does not want to see sour, boring, puss Christians, but it's how you live. It's how you walk this thing out. Be blessed. I hope that this blessed you. Goodbye.